Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated. Hey, baby, I just want you to know that I know that you know. You know you're getting a little old when you are interviewing your idol's sons. I guess I'm looking forward to doing your grandson. So this, I step above. This is Vince Gentile, the son of Carl Gentile, ladies and gentlemen.
Kevin, thank you very much, Kevin.
You're welcome. You've been crawling, walking, and running over the star on the street of soccer first families all your life, man. Can you give us a little info of what it was like to be involved in that type of family structure?
Sure, Kevin. It's actually kind of funny when I've met people and talked to them about my growing up in soccer, and to me, I just thought everybody's father's friends were soccer players because that's who my father's friends were. They were all soccer players. I just thought that was, I thought that was natural. I mean, you talk about, everywhere I went, I was tag along with my father because he was still, I'm going to say, playing, whether it be amateurish or, playing, in senior ball when I was alive, and I'd go to the fields, follow him around, right? And here I am. So everybody I met was a soccer player, and I just thought that was normal. And as a result of that, it created a passion in me to want to participate myself. And here I am at 54 years old, finding myself still wrapped up in that game of soccer from growing up on the fields in St. Louis here, following with my father.
Beautiful, man. And under full disclosure here, you are without you on your own. You're not daddy's boy. You on your own, Vince Gentile, with a ball at his feet or on the sidelines coaching the beautiful game. You are guaranteed. You're a well-certified Hall of Fame, Vince Gentile.
Thank you, Kevin.
Oh yeah, man. You always had it going on. It was just the name, We sing a song, Vince Gentile, and then every time you played, you are always either not. If you weren't the man in the match, you knew the man of the match, and he knew you. You're always every game. You always were there, Vince.
Well, yeah, thank you, Kevin. Yes, I was very fortunate to have grown up playing with fantastic players, and just as from the people that you talk to, St. Louis is full of those rich players, and I was fortunate, just to be a part of some great ones like Mike Sorber that I grew up playing with, Scott McDaniel, Ed Pinion, Jeff Davis, and the list goes on and on of just the guys in my class, not even extending it up or down with the guys that I grew up playing with that were before or after me. But very, very fortunate to be around some fantastic players and fantastic coaches.
Thank you, Vince, for mentioning your friend, our friend Mike Sorber, with the passing of his father, the great Pete Sorber. What a magnificent man of soccer in town. I mean, you can't talk about St. Louis soccer without mentioning Pete Sorber.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What a fantastic dynasty that he built at Florissant Valley with all of these great players to come through here. As I say, before and after me, just the number of lives that he's touched and the people that are still involved in the game that Pete has coached and has been around. We are very blessed to have had Pete in all of our lives here in St. Louis and St. Louis soccer for sure.
Yeah, all the stories up in North County about little Mike Sorber coming to all the practices and everything, and then he becomes on the national team and stuff. It's, you know, uh, it's really a credit to him that he was able to, you know, to do the way. But that's only so many people can say, "Hey, I'm Pete Sober's son." Same way with you. There's only so many people you can mention that. Hey, I'm Carl Gentile's son. Have you ever, besides, thinking like I do, like if your sister's going to date somebody, does he play soccer? What do you mean he doesn't? you know, well, was there certain things that beneficial or not beneficial of being a top flight son?
Well, it is always difficult to, I'm going to say, uh, play a sport. Your father played at such a high level. I'm going to say to match, but I never, that was never really something I was trying to do really because he was a forward and he scored goals and I was a defender and I did the stopping.
No
So,
gold, no
you
goals.
know, so I did not have to, and I didn't ever compare myself in any way, shape, or form in that. So I didn't ever felt any pressure from, in that way. But for him being my father and him being, also a coach of mine growing up, he was very demanding, and it was probably a little bit more difficult for me than maybe some of the other players that were on my team because
Yeah,
because of the ride home or anything. But all in all, like I say, I never felt any pressure from my father in terms of like I had to do something extraordinary or anything of that nature. It was work hard, compete my best, be a good teammate, and give all to the game and walk away and that's all you can do and I'll be proud, right? And I think that's something that me and my teammates were able to obviously learn through it is just being our best on the field and um, that sometimes the game doesn't go your way. We all know that it's
yeah,
cruel. So the biggest thing is, have you given it your all to your teammates? Have you given it all to the game? If you've done that, you've respected the game, and some days it's not your day. That's probably the biggest thing. But like I said, no real pressure per se from him. It was always fascinating to meet people, that were so excited to. When I say meet me, they weren't really excited to meet me. They were excited to tell me that they knew my father, or they played against my father, or they watched him play.
yeah,
Things like that.
yeah,
But the exposure that I got as a result of, I'm going to say, being my father's son was incredible. The people that I've met in soccer, whether it be Bob Gansler, who coached the national team, Shellis Hyman, Bobby Keogh, legendary Bobby Keogh from here in St. Louis,
yeah.
and the list goes on and on. But, that was just because of my father and the soccer. So that just helped build my love for the game to meet all of these people. Like I said, everybody I met, they were a soccer player. Isn't that normal?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hey, how about you? Do you have children?
I do not. No, I have all these young players that I coach that I would consider to be my
Yes,
my kids,
right.
but no, I'm single, not married, no children, and just enjoy being around all these young people
Yeah.
that I get an opportunity to coach.
Have you ever found yourself telling, uh, you, you're like uh, uh, what's your title at Scott Gallagher?
I'm I'm a staff coach in our girls ECNL program.
Yeah.
I coach three teams within that program.
And do you find yourself saying to the girls some stuff that your dad told you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think that I was very fortunate to be have some great coaches. My father, Coach Mickler at CBC, of course. Um, you know, Franz von Balkum, who's the director of the Bush Soccer Club when I was a teenager and things like that. So you learn so many things from all of those coaches. I think we were very, very fortunate. We're able to learn the game at a high level, and our language and terminology might change a little bit today versus what we grew up with, but I think that we had great foundations and building blocks through my father, who was coaching us, and I say Coach Mickler or Franz von Balkum, and those are still the same things that we do today with all these young these young players. Um,
And
yeah.
and take us to a journey. We walk with you through a day. Like when you wake up in the morning, you proud to be like a St. Louisan soccer player on a great club, and and teaching and giving away the beautiful game with caring and sharing that your whole life.
It is great to wake up in the morning and know that I'm still involved in the game that I grew up loving, and to still be able to be a part of it, and me still learning about the game of soccer. You keep learning, whether it's watching professional teams, national teams, or just the exposure within my own peers and stuff like that. So it's really fun to continue that learning, and it's fun to continue, sharing and making, I want to say making these players better through the ups and downs of seasons that you have with teams. Um, you know, Winning is important. It's an important component, but you know, um, at the end of the season, when you get an email from a parent that says, how much their kid grew or how much they enjoyed the season, and the parent says they grew, as a person, as a player, because they were challenged. That's the reward right there. It doesn't matter whether you've won I'm going to say a trophy at the end of the year. That's the reward there. Hopefully all those other players have had that same, type of experience. But yeah, just to get to do that day in and day out, and be around so many other high level professional people that love the game of soccer and that are passionate about continuing that and continuing to have St. Louis continue that rich tradition that was before myself and it has continued. We just want to continue to make sure these young players here today see that and can carry on that tradition into the future as well.
Under full disclosure, when you are on the phone, when you answer and talk just like your father, which is very unique. The two of you, no one else follows you. Too. They could. AI has nothing over you guys. They couldn't recuperate. They couldn't recuperate. But your father also said that being a baseball player is something that is totally something that, wow. Soccer, I love soccer. But just being a baseball player, you're right out there. You got to have it all. And I was wondering if you had another sport, or even in the backyard or on the table in the house, that when you come over now as a grown man to say, come on, Dad, I'm going to beat you today on something, a particular card game or something, another type of sport that you played. You were a pickleball player.
You know, I played baseball, as a young person, probably through seventh or eighth grade, and quit playing baseball to just play soccer because it's what I wanted to do. And not when I say quit playing baseball, I mean, I was on the team, but I would skip things if we had soccer conflicts. That's all, because soccer was going to be my first thing. And then I didn't continue to play baseball in high school because, well, I wasn't that good at hitting that little white ball. But hey, so I grew up primarily just, being a soccer player. But yeah, I certainly enjoy other sports, but as far as, I think probably you mentioned my father with his baseball. The one thing I've found interesting, and I don't recall if he mentioned this to you when you guys had spoken, but this comes from, speaking with my grandfather and my father, like baseball was my father's like real love of the game or whatever. I mean, he loved that more than like soccer in a sense, but he was still so good, obviously, at soccer. I did not have, a love like that with baseball, with any other sport there. Soccer was my gig. But at this, I think things were always, whether it be competitive, the first person to get to the door at the house with my brothers or things like that, I remember, playing Monopoly, and being competitive like that in Monopoly in the household where, no one wanted to lose and things like that, of course, right? Probably I'm not by my father, but I'm sure that probably one of my brothers or myself probably knocked over the board at some point in time because they were upset with somebody else, right?
It's family in St. Louis, baby.
There you go.
You took us inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they haven't said that, they haven't done that. I don't know if they actually played the game or, they're lying.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, you talk about family conflicts, baby. You put out that sorry board or the Monopoly, game on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But how about nowadays? Do you have some type of relaxing hobby that you take care of?
Yeah. It's probably, I stay fit. I used to ride a road bike, like
Yeah.
on the street and stuff.
Yeah.
I do enjoy cycling because it is much easier on my knees and on my ankles than any sort of running is and stuff. And as a result of that, I find myself very, very, I guess you could say, passionate about the Tour de France.
Oh yeah, baby.
I watch that, and I watch that every July, and I really enjoy that. But I mean, in terms of other activities that I do, I do, some yoga and some just weightlifting and things like that, just to stay in shape. But no time really for, I'm going to say any adult league or anything like that. I'm good and retired as far as all that goes.
Yeah. Are you? Do you have 10 more minutes?
Sure.
To talk to me, and then you go back to the Tour de France.
Sure, absolutely.
What do you got to get up at 4 in the morning or something to see the live?
Well, today's live started later than that, but no, it usually starts around 5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Here local time, and it's about noon or 2 o'clock. I think today it started locally in France at 2:30 in the afternoon here. But 21 days of bike racing.
Okay, I've only done it one time in my life. But what's your story? What's your gut feeling? about playing 2 to 3 games a day in a tournament of some sort?
Oh, I think that for young, really young players whose legs are probably like rubber bands and stuff like that, and there's not a lot of real heavy physical demands because the field is smaller and the little kids they're running around like that. I think is that's acceptable. Now, what age does that stop? I'm not 100% certain because I don't coach those young ages, but I coach all 11v11, which starts at U13, and I would say at the very very highest of levels, um, for both boys and girls at the 11 when they're playing 11 aside, I don't think that they should be playing multiple games in a day. Fortunately for us in our league that we participate in, the teams that I coach, we participate in the ECNL, and the events we play in are our weekends. We only play one game a day with our teams, and so on a weekend you're going to play 2 games. If you go to a showcase, you're going to play 3 games, but they'll all be on their own single day. Not all tournaments are like that, of course. Sometimes there are teams that have to play multiple games. I think it's very very demanding for the kids. But I think with the way it works out with tournaments is that I think that, and my team does not necessarily participate in tournaments because of the league we play, and we just go to national events and we just play 3 games. But for teams that go to tournaments and they travel out of town, if I think you're asking a lot of parents, for these kids to have to take off, and play 3 days in a row. Because then, if they're traveling, that means these parents are leaving on a Thursday to get somewhere to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because parents want to feel like they're getting their money's worth. So when they go to these tournaments, so they need to play 3 games minimum. When they're traveling, I think is their mindset, and so it's a little bit different when you're doing it in a league format because it's 2 games. It's 2 games and that's it. But I mean, the load on the body and the fatigue, and the athletes, it's pretty demanding. So,
Well, you're a great American, and it's okay to share your opinion. Can I ask your opinion on the age? The United States Soccer says, "Hey, we're going to play with your age." Your father and I would have never been able to play soccer if we didn't play it as the older guys. And I was wondering if you had an opinion on that.
well, there's a lot of changes that have occurred in the game, to help in development, which I think is fantastic. Meaning playing smaller numbers of players on the field at younger ages, whether that's 4 versus 4, and playing with mini type goals instead of
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
called
yeah.
goals with goalkeepers, right?
Right
And you
with
got
you.
77, and you got the 99. All of those things I think are fantastic because the reality of it is kids can't kick the ball very far when they're little. I mean, they can't. The field is it's going to be big component of success or failure for them. I mean, the traditional 11v11 field is too big for little kids to play on how we played. Meaning, like when we were 8 years old, you and I, we both played soccer on 11v11 field with a big goal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's where you see that herd ball going on, right? Well, that's because That's because nobody could kick the ball very far, and then. I mean, who was the kid who was the best was the smart kid that stayed out of that mix. And as soon as the ball came to him outside of it, they went and scored the goal, right? But you change the size of the field. Now our spatial awareness becomes better, and so there's so many benefits from that in terms of changing the size of the field and the dimensions and things like that. And I think everybody's trying to get kids to play 11v11 at U13. Now, some of them are starting at U12 in the springtime and things like that. But that seems to be the trend here, across the United States. From other things that I've read, I mean, there's other federations that they don't play 11v11 until they're 14 years old. And, who's right, who's wrong?
Right.
I don't know. I think if we're challenging players, and continuous skill development, technical development, providing with tactical knowledge, and in decision making, we're doing the right things within the conditions that we're forced in, meaning the size of the field, the size of the goal, the numbers of players that are out there and stuff. And it's going to be different it's different across the world. But I think we're headed in the right direction with the size of the field and the numbers of players on there and stuff. And I think we've come a long way with it from when I was growing up and playing. I mean, so.
Do you have a personal or a professional relationship with Tom Heidemann from St. Louis with the U15? I think I have the boys or girls. The boys I know. Do you?
Yeah, he was with I believe he's working with the boys national team. But I do not. I was I think I was living in Cincinnati while he was here in St. Louis. I remember his name when he was, playing. But no, I do not personally know him.
But and do you have outreach communications with the national team for your girls' ages and so forth?
Yeah, I personally am not in the communicator within that, but yes, as a club, St. Louis Scott Gallagher, we are. I mean, we have a number of players that are currently within, playing in the national team program. We have Grace Restovich, who's at Notre Dame, and Caroline Burkle, who's at Stanford. They both are with the U21 national team most recently. We've got about 5 girls that are in camp, I don't know, within the next month at the 2009 and 2010 age groups. And so those national team scouts that are in charge of our area, they're in communication with our girls director of our ECNL program, Ralph Richards, or they're in communication with our girls program director, Scott McDaniel. That's the national team contacts are in touch with them, and they help provide either the video that the national programs want, or the feedback of what they're doing, in training and all of those things. But I would say, I mean, that is completely changed, over the years here, and continues to evolve in terms of the number of people that they have working for U.S. Soccer that are out there scouting, and then the opportunities that are there for these young players.
Hey, is that a paid position?
There are like regional directors. So
okay.
There's a woman who is in charge of let's call it the Midwest.
I thought you gave me a lead.
Cincinnati.
I thought you gave me a lead, Vince. I was going to grab on her.
No, they're like the one. She lives in Cincinnati. She covers the Midwest, and she's like works for U.S. Soccer. But she then has, let's say, a scouting network in the 12 states that she has to cover, and but from what I can tell, they have to write a lot of reports, and it's a pretty extensive thing. I mean, you got to really like, I'm going to say probably player identification.
Oh, absolutely. I have a little cheat sheet that when somebody says, I played with the 09s to formulate what age they are.
Yes, correct. We got birth year ages, and we've got U13s, U14s. So everybody refers to it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 09 birth year would be players that currently are juniors sophomores and juniors in high school today would be players of
Nice.
the 2009 birth year.
Nice. And so it goes to where the parenting, it seemed as if back in my day, I'm 68 years old, that it would be like, hey, you don't need to take your parents onto the trip to go to Springfield or Memphis or something. But I mean to tell you, it would be just unbelievable for the club, far as insurance and for just to be everybody be on edge of having the responsibility for the players. That is so much nicer to say, hey, do you mind coming down to the, you have to have some, it's not a teen bus.
We it's we're lucky today in today's day and age that parents parents want to, I'm going to say, follow their kids. They want, they want to. They don't want to be gone every weekend, but they want to watch their kid play, right? So a lot of them, they just, they're going on all the trips and everything there. If they're not, they're sending their kid with, another parent.
Okay.
And it would be it'd be very, very cumbersome, I'm going to say for us personally and the programming that I coach in. Because we have a green program in our ECNL, and we have a Navy program in our ECNL, and both of those programs consist of 6 teams of each. And if we're traveling on a particular weekend where both of those groups are going to the same place, which happens frequently, well, that could be 12 to 8 teams that are traveling at the same time, and you're talking upwards of 200 players. And yes, we only have so much in terms of staff. We wouldn't be able to manage that. So we're very fortunate that, that there's such good parental support out there where they take their kids and they take the somebody else's kids to the different weekends and stuff, and they share the load, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yes, it's considerably different than when we were, probably growing up playing and everything.
So I want to thank you so very much for giving your time
Absolutely.
up to be able to say this, and I would be amiss if I didn't, like toss the salad or get the crack the eggs to get the or whatever and bicycle, lingo, in Paris, but but to say something about that in the ENSL, you can play. You can play all year round in this league, but you can't play high school. You can't play another league anywhere. And the story is that it's different than an academy system where this is our strategy. You cannot play high school soccer. But the ENSL, that season, that spring season, is totally open for the individual girl and our boy to play in. That there's no, you can't play both, but you can choose one or the other. And there's no is it? Do I have this right?
That's correct. So the
Okay.
league is the ECNL, Elite Clubs National League, and for the girls in the ECNL, girls high school soccer spans like 5 different seasons throughout the whole country of the United States. Some girls play high school in the fall, some play in the spring, some play in the late fall, some play in the winter. Some places across the country, you can play high school soccer at the same time as club soccer. And then there are other places like St. Louis where you could not participate in both of those at the same time. And that's how the league functions on the boys' side as well, in terms of, when the boys play their club soccer within the ECNL. But the league itself does not require a player to play soccer for the entirety of the year. They can participate in their high school soccer teams if they want while playing in the ECNL. The league does not have a mandate or a demand like the Development Academy used to. When that was in existence, the Development Academy required you to only participate in soccer on your U.S. Development Academy team, and you could not play soccer. So for us, our girls who are of high school age, they have an opportunity to choose whether they want to play soccer at their high school and represent their school, or if they want to stay in our club environment and play and participate on a mixed age of high school players who all play in our club. And we have players. The majority of our players choose to go play for their high schools, and then we have enough players that choose to not participate, that we have a training group and we have a team and they play games and things like that. So we continue to help them with their development.
Well, you used a beautiful word, development, to help me with my development. It's not allowed to play on both teams in the spring. Is that correct?
That's correct. These girls, they cannot play on that high school team and on the club at the same time.
And do you know of any, talking about meatballs, do you know any of the mix to make a great meatball between U.S. youth soccer and high school soccer in America?
I think soccer probably shares similar problems with other things in the United States. And what I mean is that our country is so big, we're not a one size fits all or cookie cutter type of a thing. Every part of the country has some different things that contribute to why soccer is how it is, or why, so I think, it's really hard to when you try to put all that, I'm going to say together. I mean, just think about this for a second, like just from a club perspective, like in order for us to go play within our league, I mean, the closest opponent we have besides here in St. Louis, which you have St. Louis opponents, but I mean, we're driving to Kansas City, or we're going to Chicago, right? Or we're going to Detroit, or we're going to Omaha. Now, if you play and you're in New Jersey, you're not driving 4 hours to go find a match. I mean, your league, things are much tighter together there in New Jersey. Maybe you're just driving to New York, or maybe you're driving to Philadelphia, right? These things are within 2 hours instead of in Southern California. In Southern California, the teams you're playing are, 20 minutes down the road. Might take you an hour because of traffic in Southern California, but the geographic component and element where it comes into play, right? I mean, here, especially for us in the Midwest, we're just so spread out. We're not as compact and stuff. So I think with so you got a lot of different dynamics that go on, and it makes it hard because, I mean, you'll have you got tribalism, right? I mean, you got man. We want it like this because this is how it works best for us in the Midwest. Well, we don't want it like that because it's not how it works best for us in Southern California or in Texas, or So, but all in all, I mean, I think that there's a lot of really, really smart people involved in soccer, and here locally as well as throughout the country here, and there's a lot of people that are trying to, I'm going to say, solve these problems or make these things better, and everything takes time, and you got to have some patience, I suppose. But if we're putting the game first and we're trying to, continue to improve the game and keep the tradition going, right, and build people that are passionate about soccer, we got to continue to participate in trying to come up with solutions and making things better for everybody.
Vince Tilly, I like your style. You're in the Whale Certified Hall of Fame, buddy. With that answer, you just walked in. I just walked in, and there you are. You're in the Wales Certified Hall of Fame, baby.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Now it comes out to where I'll close up to say, hey, man, Vince, whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to for as long as you want to say it for. This is your opportunity.
Well, first of all, I have to say thank you, Kevin, for the time. It's been a pleasure to chat with you about soccer, St. Louis, and the beautiful people that I have been around in soccer here that I've mentioned and stuff. But yeah, no, all in all, my mother, my father, love them both. Wonderful people, and I appreciate everything that they have done for me and continue to do. Because without them and their support, I'm not playing soccer when I'm a little kid, right? I mean, I'm not pursuing coaching as a career without support from them. So I appreciate them and everything that they've done, and I feel as if I've been blessed, by the game of soccer with the people that I've met, the people that I've played with, played against, and it's just been a fantastic piece of my life, and I'm still, as I say, I'm happy to be a part of it, and would like to thank the coaches that have taught me and have mentored me in what I'm doing today. And those coaches, Coach Mickler, Franz von Balkum, Avi Keogh, even Denny Long, the list goes on and on and on. Obviously my father included within that, but then also some of my peers that I work with who are fantastic coaches that have fantastic minds that have learned from some great people. So I've just been so blessed, and I can't thank them enough. And you'll remember as from being at Coach Mickler's little party a couple of weeks ago here, what about me? I'm sure I've forgotten some people's here that have been a part of this that I would like to thank for helping me get where I am and my passion and things like that. So if I've missed anybody, there you go. What about me? You're a part of it.
Beautiful. And that's the Brian Walsh Award.
That's right.
I played with that guy, man. He's fantastic. I mean, an Irish jewel. And I mean to tell you, when you talk about the Italians in St. Louis, you got to talk to a Gentile.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, man. You were such a dynamic force when you came around. I saw you at that celebration, and then listening to you on the phone, man. It was like, gosh, the two of you and your dad, you're very unique, man. So thank you for gracing Wales Certified, and the best to you and yours, okay?
Kevin, thank you very much for doing what you're doing. It's great that you're putting these stories out there about the fantastic tradition and heritage and the beautiful people of our St. Louis soccer community. So thank you so much.
Well, I'll be walking on the balls of my feet today, baby. Thanks a lot for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then. Bye-bye.
We'll see you again. Bye now.